Good morning. Welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Wednesday, September 1st, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S., 4:30 p.m. in London. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL instant mail address is CATEX-TV. Well, in this day in history, 71 years ago, I suppose as long as man tracks time, this will be the September 1st date that will be remembered. The Germans invaded Poland, beginning World War II. Also, 27 years ago today, a Korean Airlines 747 KAL Flight 007 was shot down by the Russians as it inadvertently crossed the Sakhalin Peninsula, and 269 people were killed. It was a moment of great confrontation between the two superpowers at the time. The stock market in New York is up about 240 points. Woohoo! All right, now to our main news. Well, let's bring it up. We have Hurricane Earl. It's been downgraded a bit. It's a Category 3 now, but it's getting closer. The location of the storm now is approximately, what they're saying, it's about 700 miles or so, actually 780 miles southeast of Cape Hatteras, North Carolina. It's got speeds of about 125 mile per hour winds, top sustained winds. It's expected to sideswipe the densely populated East Coast from North Carolina up to New England. Obviously, it's Labor Day weekend up here, so people will be home. It's expected to bring driving rain, high winds, and a pounding surf, but forecasters so far are not predicting a direct hit on the U.S. East Coast. Part of the outer islands of North Carolina are already being evacuated. Now, right behind Earl is this one. This is Fiona. Not much on Fiona yet. You can see, if anything, its track is a little bit more to the east from Earl. It will only glancingly hit those outer islands, and even so, it'll just be those western winds. However, it will be doing some damage in the Leeward Islands and the Bahamas at some point later today. So we'll keep an eye on both of these. Speaking of damage from Earl, the CCRF, the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, is going to make a $4 million payout to Anguilla. Where's Anguilla? Well, here it is. If you look over on the right-hand side, you can see a little dot. It's approximately 150 miles to the east of Puerto Rico. It's a British possession. There's only 13,000 people on the island. The CCRF said that the storm was of significant magnitude to trigger Anguilla's hurricane coverage. The payment is expected to take 14 days, during which time a final calculation of loss and payout will be made. According to the facility, early reports indicate that Earl blew the roofs off buildings and downed many power lines on the island. Severe beach erosion and flooding also hit the island. Wind speeds were of the Category 2 intensity. Also, the most northern of the British Virgin Islands, Anegada, had similar wind speeds, so presumably we'll be seeing a claim coming from them as well. Also, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, both covered also by CCRF policies, were less severely impacted. It's unknown whether or not they're putting in a claim. Well, you knew this was coming. Swiss Re has decided that they're going to pay back Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway in cash instead of allowing him to convert bonds into stock. Here's a fellow you don't see too often. This is Swiss Re's chairman, Walter Kielholz. He said, quote, "We can't give Buffett shares for 25 Swiss francs when they're worth 45 Swiss francs. That was the convertible price that Buffett struck when he made the loan." Kielholz made these remarks at a dinner in Frankfurt last night. He said shareholders would shoot me with hot cheese at the least. Swiss Re last year received $2.9 billion US in the form of convertible bonds from Buffett after record losses amid the global financial crisis. The reinsurer now has indicated they plan to repay the capital, which is possible beginning from March 2011. Swiss Re stock has dropped 16% this year, valuing the company at 15.5 billion francs. The large rival, Munich Re, has a market value of about 24 billion US. There's a report from the Insurance Insider that Clive Busnell, the CEO of Jubilee Group, a London syndicate, has stepped down after less than 4 months at the small Lloyd's insurer. Busnell is a former executive from Exchanging. He only recently joined the firm. There's been no corroboration of this from either Jubilee or from any other market sources, so we're still tracking this. We've mentioned that the former head of Aon Australia, Peter Harmer, actually is the former UK CEO of Aon UK, is now back in his native Australia with QBE, thinking that maybe he's going to be a successor to Mr. Frank O'Halloran. The chairman of QBE, Belinda Hutchison, denied a market rumor today that QBE is seeking a new CEO and said that it does not have a headhunter looking to replace O'Halloran. Hutchinson said recent media reports indicated that the board is searching for an external replacement for Frank O'Halloran. They're completely false. The board has not appointed an external recruiter to fill the CEO role. QBE has a long-standing succession planning process due to the depth of its high-quality management team. This team is ably led by Frank, who will remain the CEO for the foreseeable future. She said Frank has publicly stated his interest and willingness to continue as CEO. QBE will advise the market before making senior management changes. I don't know why anybody would think of replacing Frank O'Halloran. Well, let's look at this photo. Not exactly somebody who you would expect to be a spokesperson for the importance of reinsurance or insurance, but indeed Russian President Dmitry Medvedev is saying that Russians need to realize that insurance is a necessary expense and that the recent drought that ravaged crops and the wildfires that destroyed thousands of homes should be a valuable lesson. Speaking to members of the insurance industry, Medvedev said that a maximum of 20% of crops were insured in the recent Russian drought. When he was asked why Russian farmers don't have cover, he responded by saying that he had been told by the farmers that they said it was either too expensive or they didn't see a reason for buying a policy. The president said it's evident that our citizens and companies should insure their property in the same way as done worldwide. They should be sure they'll get their compensation paid in case the insured risk happens. He promised to improve the insurance market in Russia as the company attempts to become a global big hitter. After the meeting, an economic aide told reporters that the Russian government might subsidize people looking to buy insurance for their property. We'll go to a word now from our sponsors and come back with the rest of the news. Well, we reported yesterday on the Qantas Airlines 747 that blew an engine after taking off from San Francisco International. Now, here's a picture of the engine. You can see the gash in the side of it here. Apparently, that same 747 was involved in an incident regarding a faulty engine several years ago. The particular plane, just to recap, took off from San Francisco bound for Sydney at about 11:10 p.m. local time Monday. It was in the air for about 45 minutes up at 30,000 feet when there was an explosion of the number 4 engine. The plane made it back safely with 3 of the 4 engines working. In a similar circumstance to yesterday's flight, actually Monday night's flight, the same plane made an emergency landing with 3 of the 4 engines working in August of '06 after the flight crew shut down a malfunctioning engine. 18 crew members and 243 passengers were on the 2006 flight, which was going to Melbourne, Australia from Hong Kong. Qantas says that there's absolutely no connection between either incident. The '06 incident was a result of a manifold return line, a fuel manifold return line that had fractured. Qantas also announced that they are shipping a new 747 engine to San Francisco International to put it on the plane so it can go back in service. I don't know how that engine is being shipped. I don't think they can put an engine into the below deck hold of a 747. I'm sure it can carry the weight, but I don't think they can maneuver it in through the size of the opening. So they may have to go with a Federal Express shipper that opens the nose and allows for the cargo to be wheeled in. But it should be there at some point today. This is Kenneth Feinberg. If you follow the World Trade Center claims proceedings, you recognize him. Obviously, he's been appointed by the White House as the claims czar, overseeing the administration of oil spill claims against British Petroleum. He has named the GCG unit of the claims administrator Crawford & Company as the claims contractor for BP. Feinberg made the appointment after dismissing ACE Group's ESIS unit as claims administrator. Feinberg made the switch following the filing of a lawsuit on behalf of the state of Alabama. Alabama alleges that claims by oil spill victims have been fraudulently delayed and reduced. The state made the lawsuit under the federal racketeering laws, which means that any damages, if there are found to be any damages, could be tripled. In northern Italy, ExxonMobil Corporation was forced to shut down one of its 2 crude distillation units at its Sarpom refinery in Turcotte. This is after a fire broke out yesterday. The fire was extinguished after about an hour. Spokespeople in Rome were saying that there were no injuries. Demand is currently being met from the site's other crude processor. The refinery near Milan has the capacity to process 230,000 barrels of oil a day. Exxon has a 74% interest in the refinery, and Italy's ERG owns the rest. Well, for our final story, we know well that Lloyd's of London insures unusual risks. They insured the pianist Van Cliburn's hands. They insure Keith Richards' hands. They insure David Beckham's legs. And they insure Dolly Parton's breasts. They also insure part of this man. Let's look at this man. This man is Troy Polamalu. Now, take a good look at this. This man is a football player with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the National Football League in the United States. He's the man on the right. He's a native Samoan. He's actually a very good player. If you see underneath his helmet, you can see dreadlocks coming out from underneath his helmet. He's not the first Samoan to wear long hair in the National Football League that bulges out from underneath the helmet. In fact, the National Football League has made a ruling that in the event that Mr. Polamalu intercepts a pass and begins to run it back for a touchdown, members of the opposing team are able to tackle him any way they can, like they could tackle anybody else. They can grab him by his legs, they can grab him by his jersey, they can grab him by his helmet, they can also grab him by his hair. Well, that's a disadvantage for Mr. Polamalu, that's for sure. Let's look at this